Welcome to Talking with Kevin and Son, where truth meets real. We talk life, love, and purpose.
Welcome to another episode of Talking with Kevin and Son, brought to you by the powers of RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. Hi, my name is Kevin McLemore. I'm an award-winning author, lyricist, master-level fitness professional, and today I am your show host. Through the power of our story, our mission is to uplift through the power of your voice, inspire, share stories and experience and perspectives using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is very simple, folks. We want to create hope, HOPE, helping other people every single day. Today, we are bringing to you a very unique, a special individual. He's not only someone that I admire, I aspire to be like, but he is also a friend. I'm going to introduce you to him as Dr. Deep Shah. He's a pediatrician dentist. He is a pediatric dentist. He's an educator, an entrepreneur whose journey began as a childhood battling acute leukemia. And I can't pronounce the word exactly, the diagnosis that he has, but I'll let him talk about that. He's been inspired by his compassionate care. He has built a whole program around his business, and he's built a program that's called Sidekick. Sidekick Smiles, I think that's what it is, on empathy, power, and trusting, helping children feel like they are superheroes in their own story. Well, you know, every superhero story starts with their own story. And before we get into exactly what Sidekick is all about, what his superhero story is about, and the mindset of a superhero, let me introduce you and welcome my guest. I'm going to call him by what I call him every day. Deep, what's up?
What's up, Kevin? Thanks for having me. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
No problem, no problem. You know, there are a lot of dentists that when you walk into their office is very sterile. It's get in there, whatever. I know with my children, their first dental experience, they went kicking and screaming. But if you look on your website of Sidekicks, it's a totally different experience. It echoes the atmosphere of what's fun, is calming. The colors are cool. It's welcoming. It makes it easy to go to a dentist. And I know even with my story, I was traumatized by my first dental experience. But before we get into how you became today's superhero and how you created Sidekicks, and even we're going to talk about your clothing brand today, will you tell us how you came about or who inspired you to be the man you are today?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I like to break that up onto two fronts, right? There's a personal front and then there's a professional front. So from a personal front, uh, it's my right hand woman, Dwani Joshi. She's my wife. Love her to death. We've been dating since what, 02, 04, 06. So I've known her for over half my life at this point. And she makes me the man I am today. She pushes me and really to strive to be a better version of myself. That 1% better every day is because of her. And because of her, I'm blessed to have two beautiful boys, Aryan and Rian. And I'm telling you, fatherhood changes you. Like, you know, you're you're a man before kids, but become a man after kids. And those two
True.
boys have really inspired me and taken, you know, the definition of fatherhood to another level, to show up for them. And you show up differently when you have kids, especially two boys, and trying to help them, you know, be the
One
next
second.
generation of future men. So those two boys are everything to me. On the professional front, in dental school, I had Dr. Elliot Hirsch. He was my pharmacology teacher. Just a passion. I mean, the way he would lecture, the way he would orate, it was just, he took a class, pharmacology, that's otherwise really difficult, made it really seamless, made it really fun, and really engaging. And then from dental school, I did my residency in pediatric dentistry, and I had two amazing mentors there, Dr. Brian Martin and Dr. Aline D'Alessio. And I owe a lot of my professional credit and success from their foundation. They really, really showed me the ropes, really taught me a lot. They were the ones that made me fall in love with failing. And it's okay to fall in love. It's okay to fail and fall in love with that. And, just try not to make the same mistake again. But they made that process what could have been very difficult, could have been high pressured, really awesome and easy. And so I would go back and do residency in a heartbeat because of those two individuals.
Right. I know the people in your life today probably didn't expect to get a shout out to the first thing on your global podcast interview, but I want to thank all the people that have inspired you, have impacted you, that made you the man, including your parents, your mom and dad. I know your lovely wife. I always say that she's your trainer. But I also know that sometimes what tries to break us are the things that really teaches us how to heal others. And I know that you had battled a form of cancer going through your life. A lot of times people go into the darkest of places when they hear the C word. How did you deal with that? And what's the story behind that?
Yeah, so for me, I had a ALL, which is acute lymphoblastic leukemia. I was diagnosed at the age of 2. So I was a little kid, and I've been in remission since the age of 5. So it's been 33 years for me being in remission. 34 years. I'm 39 right now. So it's been a while. But even though I've been in remission since the age of 5, I was seeing the oncologist team up until like my 20th birthday, and it'd be less frequent visits as I got older, but it was different. I do remember being a boy. I remember being like 6, 7, 8 years old. Luckily for me, I didn't have radiation or chemotherapy, and I was okay with taking a drug called methotrexate. But one of the side effects of methotrexate is getting moon faced. And so, you get your chubbier cheeks, just put weight on in your belly, and you're a kid. And so bullying is something that was, I'm sure it's evident, prevalent today. It was definitely prevalent back in the days, and that kind of made things a little bit tougher. When you felt like you weren't, you just you didn't know any better, right? And you're at the mercy of these medications. On top of that, being a South Asian, growing up, lifestyle and diet choices weren't the best. I know my parents are the best that they could. But the education is much different now than it was back then. And so my diet also didn't really help the cause. And so all of those things kind of culminated into where I am now in terms of Sidekick Smiles, in terms of the anti-bullying campaign that's behind that mission and empowering kids to be their own superheroes. And the one thing I did realize is as I, would go see my oncologist is I was lucky. Like I could have been moon faced, but I didn't suffer the way that many of the other kids there were suffering. Whether it was complete hair loss, whether it was being fertile and not the ability to have, kids in the future. I luckily avoided all that stuff. And so as I got older into my teens, I started to really appreciate that and kind of realized, hey, I want to give back. I mean, my doctors were so awesome. They were my superheroes. They made me feel comfortable. And for a kid like myself, I was really afraid of getting my blood drawn. They made that process really smooth, really seamless. And it's like I said, I knew something was going on as a kid. I really didn't understand it until I became an adolescent, and I didn't fully appreciate it until then as well.
It's amazing. I'm listening to you, and being bullied. And I've asked this question of myself. I was that one kid when I was growing up that I had to ask myself if I was a bully because I actually grew up protecting kids that were being bullied, and itself, was I the bully itself? We also understand listening to your story and watching the way that you move in your life today and listening to your conversation. I know when kids feel safe, when they feel seen, they believe in themselves. And just like you, I think through tragedy and the way other people treated you, I've watched you rise. And matter of fact, not only have I watched you rise today, I see you fly every single day. When I thought about super hero and being a dentist, you are the poster child for overcoming adversity. I mean, you have been time tested.
Appreciate that.
You're compassionate, and your care and your emotional safety brought you to the point of, and I hope I'm leading you into this, because you started a company, and I'll give everyone on the website www.sidekicksmiles.com. Tell us the philosophy behind Sidekick Smiles.
Yeah, Sidekick. It's my pediatric dentist office. And the mission here is just to help empower kids be their own superhero in the dental chair. It's a safe haven. It's a beacon for kids to really enjoy the dentist, just the way I used to enjoy going to the oncologist, right? My mind was off of things because there's a fish tank, because there's video games. And I tried my best to, in a way, replicate a Disney world for kids in the dental office. But the mission and the characters are superheroes, and they're tooth superheroes. So they're my tooth Avengers. But it's, you walk in, there's a game room. The goal here is twofold. One, it's experience driven. I going through dental school, and like I said, I know when I see you at Lifetime, like you know what you're doing. You expect, like, when people like, hey, I get results, you're like, yeah, you get results because I know what I'm talking about. And for me, it's the same thing. It's like I pride myself on good dentistry, but I don't necessarily pat myself on the back for it because that's kind of what I went to school for. But I will pat myself on the back if I take a kid who is really anxious and they don't want to leave the office anymore. That's an experience that I'm trying to create, and that's been the best part of it. From the game room, from shooting hoops to a Montessori area to a place for parents to put their feet up, get some TLC in, get a massage in. Um, I want I want to shape the way the dentist and maybe just healthcare in general is perceived. I want to eliminate that white coat syndrome, and that's kind of the mission behind Sidekick Smiles, is to eliminate that white coat syndrome. But in the process, let kids be kids. Let that inner child speak. Let that inner child show itself, from crying to tantrums to being happy to laughing. It's there to be a safe haven for all range of emotions. And, the dentistry, I always say, I'll take care of the filling, the cleaning. That's for us to worry about. I don't want the kids just to be kids. I want them to enjoy every moment of being a kid, and that experience. And so that's exactly kind of what the office is tailored to, is that uh, experience driven aspect of dental care.
Now, I know with my profession, when you do something that is totally opposite of what your education has taught you, I mean, creating an experience. Matter of fact, when you said Disney, I also say that a lot about Lifetime. Lifetime is it's a destination point. It's like Disney on Sweat. Um, if you look at your website, and I'm going to keep going back to your website, um, I didn't even know it was a dentist office. It looked like someplace fun. It looks like someplace where someone could be comfortable. And I know when my first experience going to the dentist, it was a lot anxiety. How does your colleagues, or how do your colleagues look at you from going totally to the opposite of the way that their office are, that white coat syndrome, that sterile office? Um, Kids screaming in the waiting room, or once they get into the chair. How do your colleagues look at you from being different?
I think positive. I think everyone tries to do the best that they can do, right? I think all healthcare providers, all the colleagues, all the pediatric colleagues I know, they're out there and they're able to, implement and help kids the best way that they can. I think for me, I'm just blessed and I'm lucky that prior to opening this office, I was a chief dental officer for a larger DSO, which is a dental service organization. So I was traveling a lot. I was mentoring our doctors in Tampa. I was mentoring doctors in Houston. I was on the road 8 days a month with two kids at home, and it was tough. But through that process, I think I learned a lot. I learned what works, what doesn't work, but more importantly, IQ is great. Everyone that's in the healthcare field, everyone I've met, who are good at what they do, have a great IQ. But what lacks, what I've learned is what differentiates, kind of like the men from the boys and the women from the girls, is the EQ and having that emotional quotient, right? And how do you really connect, right? How do you put someone in your shoes? How do you work backwards, right? And so I love Simon Sinek, and I really use his model to drive what I do. And it's the why, how, what, right? Instead of starting with what I do, why am I doing what I'm doing? It's kind of working on the inner circle and really coming up with my why. How am I doing it? And then, yeah, what is, I happen to be a pediatric dentist, which is, I love it. But it's the why that I want, to be driven. And I think that's what I really strive for. And I think everyone does that in their own way. I have all the colleagues I've looked at, that have talked to me, as nothing but admiration and a lot of respect, and something I appreciate a lot. But I also know that they're doing the best that they can. Um, I just say I'm blessed to have experiences that might have been different. I'm blessed to have gone through what I went through as a child. And so because of that, I'm just lucky and unfortunate to be able to create something. And for me, it was about branding. Like dentistry is what it's my calling. I think any dentist, they're really good at what they do, but we live in a very experience driven world. And the one thing I always wanted to do was create a brand, something that I can replicate. And this whole dental superhero Avengers was something that I was really passionate about. I've been into superheroes for a very long time, and it was just fitting. I think I've just happened to be the right place at the right time. There's always luck involved in what we do. And granted, yes, I'm blessed and I feel like I'm very good at what I do, but it can't be also where I am without a little bit of luck. And so I think it's just the perfect storm that allowed me to be where I am.
All right, so we've come to a great place in the show. People are probably asking right now. I hate to flip people from one dentist to another, but if your child has not had a positive experience going to their dentist, I'm going to suggest that you go see Dr. D. Um, I don't want to create competition for other dentists, but um, you are the man. You are the man. So how do we get in touch with you?
Yeah, the website is what you can visit, like you mentioned, www.sidekicksmiles.com. You can book an appointment straight through there. It has the information for our office, but the phone number is 610-992-4910. And then our email is info@sidekicksmiles.com. So any one of those methods is totally fine. I'll get an email that shows up on my phone or on the computer, and would be happy to have anyone be a part of our Sidekick Smiles family.
All right. Um, D, you have two sons,
Yeah.
and I know I see you all the time in your superhero costume working out. I love Marvel. If you had to be, I'm going to say this now. If your children, if I were to ask each one of your sons of all the superheroes that you could play, if you got a part in a featured film, from your oldest to your youngest, which character would they say their dad would be?
Batman. And the only reason I know this is when they were little, I used to read them books in a Batman voice. And we still have those videos. So I'd be like, Aryan, what page are you on today? And I have a video of him going, we're on page 5. And it was amazing. It was just it was the cutest thing. But I would say without a doubt, Batman. I'm a big Batman fan. The Joker is actually my favorite villain.
Mhm.
So I think everything about Batman, Bane, I think it's just
Mhm.
that's my go-to. And I think they know that.
That's so cool. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Um, you are so, I would say, an activist because of current state and the way that we live and whatever. You started a clothing
Hmm.
company, and I wish I'm going to ask you this: why don't you have a book out yet? Because you have an amazing story. But anyway, you have a clothing line. You created it. Why?
Yeah, my wife and I created it, actually. It's called Labels. And like I said, I love working with kids. Obviously, I have two boys, and the one thing I realized, and this probably hits, this is probably closer to me than work itself, which is a lot because I love what I do. But I have two boys, 8 and 6, and my 8-year-old is highly sensitive. So tags on the shirts bother him. If he wears a jacket, he's got to put his sleeve up into his arm like this, and then get his coat on because God forbid that doesn't happen. He'll throw a little fit. And
Mhm.
through it all, we realized, yeah, I mean, highly sensitive kids function a different way. They're a beautiful flower that can blossom, but you've got to know their temperament. You've got to understand how they operate. Not necessarily, like everybody else. They have a little bit more quirks. And my 8-year-old, he is a little bit on the smaller side. So compared to the rest of his classmates, he's a little shorter at this point in life. He weighs a little bit less. Man, but he is smart as a whip. He's fast. He's athletic. He's everything you'd want. And I think I realized that kids get labeled all the time. Growing up with two boys, they're both very different. My oldest Aryan has dimples. My youngest has these beautiful hazel eyes. And first thing people notice are eyes, right? The aesthetics, the outer layer of your body. No one goes right to the heart. And I think that's the thing that really irks me about folks is no one's gonna sit there and be like, oh man, you're a beautiful soul to a kid. They'll look and they'll judge him by the outer appearance. And so my youngest would always get these compliments of, hey, his eyes are so beautiful. And I'm like, they are, but like, you can't say that in front of another kid there because then that devalues him, you know? So when they were younger and they used to fight, guess what my oldest would always go after and poke? His
His
brother's eyes.
eyes.
Yeah. And I got my wife and I thinking, like, the people that we love the most, our family, our extended family, would do the same thing. They'd compare. And I'm like, we can't compare. You can't compare kids. This is not good for their psyche. This is not good for anybody. It's like even adults don't like being compared. If you're out with your buddy and someone's, giving you compliments, like you imagine how your buddy feels or vice versa. So we came up with this idea that, hey, like labels is all about empowering children to be comfortable in their own skin. And it started with us. It started with our story, with our children. And we wanted them to be comfortable and realize it doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter how small you are. Doesn't matter. Everyone grows at their own pace. Everyone grows at their own rhythm. Some kids are extroverted. Some kids are introverted. It's the beauty, it's the makeup of who you are. And you've got to embrace that. And you got to let your kid know that you love them no matter how they are. And that's exactly why we came up with this clothing company. There's things for other people that we've had friends who are worried about their skin tone, about their their melanin. And so we made a shirt that says "My melanin is mighty," um, and that's for kids, who have a darker skin complexion. You're just as beautiful on the inside. And there's all these videos out there. If you watch these videos of two friends, right, you could have a Caucasian friend and an African American kid, and they're getting together, and the interviewer asks them, "What makes you guys different?" And they just look at each other and they stare. The color is not the first thing that comes to their mind. Oh, he likes ketchup. I like mustard. And I think the way a kid thinks is so pure. And I want what my wife and I want to get back to that purity. We want parents to realize that, hey, you can be the change for your child. You can be the change for the next generation. You can break those generational traumas and the stereotypes, and you can show something. You can empower your kids, and that empowerment starts with you as a parent. And so that's exactly what this clothing company is all about. It's about different hoodies, different clothes for people who might be anxious, who have ADHD, who may have autism. We have an autism shirt that tell with the Superman logo and puzzle pieces. It's all about kids realizing that they are superheroes. They're important. They're wanted. They're loved, and most importantly, they're accepted in their own skin.
Now, I would love to ask you how you got to that place, but I think you've answered that early on. How do we get that message across to parents? Because I always taught, um, I've always been told what's taught is caught. And I say in my speakings, when you get to an age that you start making decisions, and I say normally when you get driver's license, you can change that dynamic. If something your parents believed is different from your beliefs, how do you get adults or young adults to change what's been taught and what's caught? How do you create that conversation? I understand going through a child, but how do you get the adults? Because some of our biggest mistakes are taught through the shortcomings of our parents.
Yeah. That's really tough. That's a really good question. I think it's hard because everyone's level of trauma is so different. And what someone goes through and another like adult goes through could be totally different based on their upbringing, um, based on based on their own life choices, on their lifestyle. And this is something my wife and I've talked about, and we realized that it's the goal is always for us to throw out a reaching hand and hit the entire world. But what we tell our boys is, listen, you can show up the way you want to show from other people, and it's like a virus, right? A virus doesn't go from one person to 50. It goes from one person to two, two to four, and then exponential increases. And I think a lot of these messages in the world are kind of the same way, is that you teach your kids. And one of the messages that we teach them is you want to be around people that don't blow out your candle, but reignite the flame when you're down, right? And you show that to other people when they're having a hard time, someone's being bullied. You don't laugh in on the jokes. You act accordingly, and you put yourself in their shoes, and you be a good friend. And if they see that, hey, maybe they'll change their perspective and they'll do something differently in a bigger group setting. And it kind of catches on like wildfire that way. Um, it's a great question, Kevin. It is a really good question. It's one that I've thought about a lot, but I don't know if I have the perfect answer for it, because not everybody around you is going to think the way you do. Not everyone around you is going to have the same traumas that you did, or is going to resonate with the message in the same way. But I hope the message at the end is just, hey, we're trying to be kind human beings. We're trying to eliminate generational traumas for ourselves and more importantly for our kids. And I think the parents that understand it have similar messages. Maybe this is delivered in a different way, but the end goal is the same. And it just starts with you, right? You can't control the actions of others, but you can control the actions of yourself. And hopefully, like I said, people see it and it catches on like wildfire.
I'm hoping that people when they see this interview or listen to the conversation that we have, I hope they understand that to a child, your language is going to either empower your child or your language is going to destroy the power that your child may have and the influence it may have on others. And you're awesome, Dr.
Thanks, man.
D.
Thanks,
You,
man.
you,
Yeah.
you're awesome. You're creating a legacy that not only is redefining and supporting your success, you are, those little sayings that, you see the footprints in the stands, in the sand for
Yep.
other people to follow. You've just created a whole nother lane in order for people to create their own space, their own conversation through your practice as a dentist. You're going totally in a different direction. I'm not going to say right or left because, we're in a sensitive era right
Right.
now, but you're creating different spaces for different conversations. That conversations lead to not only empowering the spirit, the soul, but the person in general. But you're also bringing people together. And I'm hoping that you don't get frustrated and give up
Yeah.
because a lot of times, I knew it at one time that I started to lose faith in humanity. But I thought everyone was just out for a dollar. You have not mentioned money or anything else at this point. It's all service. My grandfather always said, when you get to a point in life, it was your duty to help someone else out, reach one, teach one. And you are doing just that within what you're doing right now. It's a beautiful day here in Philadelphia. You're
Thank
taking
you.
your kids um, skiing.
Hmm.
If you were to put one message out there to your children to say, pass this on to 10 other children today, what would that message be?
Yeah, I think that message would be, hey, like your life is a candle and it burns and it glows. And the way you talk to people, your tongue is the most powerful muscle I say you have because you can either build somebody up or it can break them down. Make sure you try to help ignite everybody's flame. And if you see someone blowing someone's flame out, you be that person that reignites that flame for that person. Because everyone deserves, especially if a child, deserves to have a flame that's burning very bright because they are the future. So never shatter another child's dreams, their hopes, their aspirations. Keep that fire burning for them.
And now that we're lighting the candle for your children, I want you to pass on the message to the person that lights your candle the most. What would you say to that person?
Oh, I love you. It's my wife, without a doubt. Thanks for being by my side. It's tough. Life. It's that we all have preconceived notions. We've all. I feel like a broken record because I say generational trauma, but like, hey, we all have our own trauma. And you're alluding to like footprints and having laying these footprints down. And the one things I do tell my boys is I don't want you to follow my footprints because it's boring. I want you to create your own footprints. Make sure the journey, make sure the destination is the same or better, right? Like if you're going to the beach, I'll meet you at the beach. Take your own path because your own path is gonna be the path that's right for you. You'll get there at the end, but what you'll experience, the scenery that you'll see, will be very different than the scenery I see. But it's meant to be. That's your destiny. That's how it's supposed to be. Um, and so, but for the person that lights my candle, my wife, man, I mean, yeah, thanks for being by my side. I mean, she's seen me at my best and she's seen me at my worst through my thick and thin. And like I said, I said it earlier, I alluded to it earlier. I'm everything I am right now in many ways because of her and her dedication and devotion. And so I appreciate that. She's allowed me to be where I am and advance the way I have advanced through making sacrifices for the family and sacrificing her career at a time so mine could advance. And so I absolutely love her to death.
And to my listeners, having a dentist on a podcast, we're saying, why we're talking to a dentist? We know about filling teeth and everything else, whatever, but we've talked about everything else but teeth. We are creating an experience, not only that the experience in his office, we've also created an experience outside that impacts people throughout the world. He has two companies. He has Smile Sidekicks. Um, Dr. P, how can we get in touch with you? How can we buy merch? Where can we find you? And also give us the actual address of your location and let me know if you're going to expand this and franchise this. But I think you should have an office in every city, state across the world.
Thanks so much, Kevin. You kind of read my mind. That's where I'd like to get to at some point. I don't want to move the cart before the horse, but the vision is, my superheroes are trademarked, so I can plug and play them in any city. And so for me, my office is here in King of Prussia. Everyone knows King of Prussia because of the mall. So I'm not too far from the mall. The address is 700 South Henderson Road in the Marion building there. And if you come, even just check out the website. You'll just it's like I said, the goal is to have a very experience-driven dental practice with high-quality work. I don't do anything metal related, so there's no metal fillings, there's no metal crowns. Everything is aesthetic in nature. This goes back to the anti-bullying. So all my fillings are tooth colored, and all my crowns that I have to put on kids are also tooth colored. So there's no silver at all in the practice, which is something that I've kind of practiced by. And I understand we're in a day where, fluoride is controversial. Here comes the dentistry part of me talking about this, but, there's some elements out there with toothpaste and recommendations. And I really do a lot of research being in academia and, being fortunate enough to teach at Penn and, work with the residents there, that keeping up with the latest technology and the latest literature is something I take a lot of pride in, and I have the ability to do. And so there's options out there for everybody, whether you're pro fluoride, whether you're just a little bit more mindful about fluoride. I have non-fluoridated options for those parents who wish to go that route. At the end of the day, there's so many different avenues for care, and that doesn't have to be there is no really dogmatic approach. Everything can be very pragmatically taken. And so that's kind of what I offer at the practice. Where I think to answer your other part of the question, yeah, the goal is I've trademarked my superheroes, which is the cool part. So I'm really proud of that. I would love to have Superman, Iron Man, Batman across my treatment rooms, across the office. That was a violation of copyright issues, obviously, and so I didn't want the artist to come back and run into any type of legal trouble down the line. So I did the next best thing that I could do, which was to trademark my superheroes. So instead of Captain America, I have Captain Crown. He's got a nice little toothpaste swirl on his head. You can see all these characters and learn more about them on the website. But it's like I said, it's to resonate with the kids and to make them realize, hey, like there is empowerment, there's fun. And it's not just for kids. The goal is also into their teens. I try to create an office where even a teenager doesn't feel like they're out of place. And that's kind of the premise with the whole office. So yeah, I don't know what other part of your question, Kevin. I'm sorry.
The other part, no, you're doing a great job. Matter of fact, you're doing a lot better than I'm doing. We want to talk about your clothing line.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more detail. Hoodies, sweatpants, sneakers, hats, gloves, all that's available on there. The difference of empowerment. Go over that again of
Yeah.
what someone can do and what it represents and why.
Sure. Thanks again, Kevin. Yeah, so it's called Labels. You can find it at stopthelabels.com. We have right now just like t-shirts and hoodies are what we offer. There's hoodies for adults. There are hoodies for children. There's stuff for babies too. So we have one of our favorite things is for infants. It's like it was about the frontal cortex, and it's about, hey, like when a baby cries or kids are throwing tantrums, it's because their frontal cortex is still developing. So it says, hey, like my frontal cortex is still under construction with little construction cones. And it's just these subtle messages to get across that, hey, if a baby's crying or my toddler's throwing a tantrum, it's the right thing to do. It's testing the boundaries. They're testing the world, and their frontal cortex is under construction. It's exactly what it's doing. It's developing. So from messages like that to shirts and sweatshirts on, autism, hoodies on autism, ADHD. We have one for kids who are growing at their own rhythm. So if your child is, 10 years old and looks like they're 7, kind of like my son who's 8 and has a little bit of a smaller frame, or vice versa. Let them know that your child is growing at their own rhythm. There might be look older than their age or taller than their age, or they're shorter than their age, but they're growing at the right rhythm that's meant for them. So it's all about helping kids feel empowered. And that's what that comes down to. So the message behind that, once again, the website was that my wife and I we want to just bring that message loud and clear, right? I feel like some of these topics seem like very tabooed. People don't know how to talk to their kids about them. How do I explain to my kid about this, or about certain topics? And we're just bringing that to the forefront. There's no shame. There's no shame if your child has autism. There's no shame if your child's on the spectrum. There's no shame if you have ADHD or your child's on medications. And you've got to embrace every little bit that comes with your child. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here, is to embrace the beauty, that inner beauty, once again, and letting people know that, hey, labels, be a part of the movement, and that change starts with you. So be the change for your family, be the change for your kids.
Well, I'm going to make a suggestion. I think you should have skull caps, baseball caps that have
Okay.
labels on there because I'm a person that lives with a TBI, which is a traumatic brain injury. I do have ADHD. I would love to wear labels and support that. And I always say different means you're special, and it takes a special person to understand your differences. And your differences is a gift, and it takes a special person to appreciate those gifts. And I want to tell you that I am very appreciative for you coming on this platform. We have a global platform, so that's the reason why I asked you for your address, because when people travel to Philadelphia, King of Prussia is about 25-35 minutes, depends on traffic. Outside of the city of Philadelphia, it's the second largest mall, so the area is beautiful. Come and meet and shake the hands of Dr. Deep. Um, Bring your children for a positive experience when it comes to dental practice and dental care. Um, and just if you get a chance to meet him on the street or in the health club, I'm going to say anyone, shake his hand because he is a dynamic man. He is a good soul. He's a change maker. Um, Dr. D, um, I have a list of 100 people that I've created that have impacted me on this show that have secrets to their success. And we're not talking about your financial wealth and whatever. I would like to add you to that list of 100 people that are making a difference. And I want to know what your true secrets to your success are.
Yeah. It's a great question. I think waking up, I think it's funny because we just did this over New Year's Eve. We went over values instead of making resolutions. My family and I did what are values, family values, and so my secrets are values, things that I always say goals are great. You hit them, you're great, but you want to have a mission, something that's more lifelong. So my first thing is like have missions. I mean, it's okay to have a goal or two, but try to convert as many of your goals into missions, habits that you're going to use and sustain for a lifetime, whether that's waking up in the morning at a certain hour and, meditating, whatever that is for you. And, there are certain things you'll hear a lot of successful people say, well, I wake up and I meditate and I wake up and I do this. And, I think that success is different for everybody. But the goal is, can you do it consistently? Whatever you're doing that puts you in the mindset and the ability to perform at your peak that day, do it however it is, whatever works best for you. Just to have those missions so that you can keep those habits going for a lifetime. Gratitude, man. I think I wake up and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm up. I'm grateful to be living another day. I don't care. People that know me know that like I don't like rain. Rain is like one of the weathers that like I just kind of makes it dreary. But in the rain, I've learned to appreciate and be gratitude that I can still carry on, and I'm blessed to impact people that day. I mean, I'm blessed to be able to breathe. And so many things that we take for granted, right? Like, I mean, I always tell people, you could be anywhere in the world right now, right? We could be in Israel and Palestine and Ukraine, and most of us are luckily not in those places, and I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, you could be being Indian. I know so many kids when I go back to India, like they're in the streets, like Slumdog Millionaire exists. It is a real concept in India. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to live out my dreams in this country. I'm able to just kind of, I have a roof over my head. And I'm just so thankful for that. Super, super thankful. So gratitude's a big thing for me. And then there's one more I would say is kind of goes hand in hand is mental, physical, and social well-being. I think you need to have all three. And I've learned to prioritize. Like mental health is, I mean, obviously physical health, I've said mental, physical, and emotional, rather. I'm sorry. Mental, physical, and social, emotional is what I meant to say. Physical is the one that everyone's great about, right? New Year's comes around. It's a new year. Everyone goes to the gym, has resolutions. Like I said, now you go back to what I said at the beginning, have those missions. Don't just do it for a month or two. Try to embed habits that last a lifetime. That's your physical, but everyone I think is pretty good about, hopefully getting out and taking care of their body. From a emotional and mental standpoint, I think they go hand in hand. I think it's important. It's important to take care of both of those aspects. And I think even the most successful people that I've seen, they burn out sometimes because they don't have something to fall back on. It's okay. This is your time to break norms, to break stereotypes. Go see a therapist. Have a therapist in your corner that can vouch for you and that can help you excel at your life. There's no shame about that. I've been seeing a therapist for a year. It's been amazing. It's opened up a whole other avenue and an outlet for me to become a better version of me. So I don't harbor things inside. I think it happens a lot with maybe a lot of men. And I don't want to, stereotype men or, women, but I do feel like a lot of men feel like, oh, I've got to be macho. Well, I want to tell you something. Macho-ness is being redefined in today's day and age. I think your kids want to see you cry. I think there's a level of art of masculinity to being emotional. And it's okay. I think that's what makes you a man nowadays, is being able and being in tune with all of your emotions. So having that good EQ, right, that emotional quotient is important, and just being mentally sound, right? Like eat clean, eat the best that you can, keep your mental health in check. Your gut and your brain work very, very synergistically together. There's a lot of research that's coming out now that's saying, hey, your gut health and your physical health impacts your brain health. And so that helps with a lot of mental clarity, gets rid of that mental fog. And so I think all three of those aspects, emotional, physical, and mental, go hand in hand. And so those would be my three things that I kind of live by every day, that just help ground me. And then anything else on top of that is cherry on top. It's a bonus, right? But I think as long as you have that, health is wealth. It's what my late grandfather always used to say. Health is wealth. And I think we've talked about this, Kevin, right? Like you get to the gym, like at some point, doing a 150-pound dumbbell press does nothing. But you want to be, there's no functionality in that, right? It's great for strength and great for like maybe muscle explosion at the time. But when you're 80 years old, you want to be functional, right? And I get people to think the long-term game is, how do you get into your 70s and 80s and be functional? Touch your toes, be able to take a bag on the airplane and put it on the overhead seat compartment, right? Those are functional living. How can you walk? Can you ride a bike at the age of 80, 85? These are things that I'm trying to get a lot of like my family members, who are big into fitness, and just having these discussions, right? Have these discussions with people. I think that's how you progress and that's how you advance, is, opening the table and having discussions with people is, hey, like, how do you see yourself fit at 80, at 85? Where do you see yourself cognitively? What steps are you doing now to prepare yourself for that? And the reason I bring this up, and I'm sorry this is a little bit long-winded, Kevin, is because I feel like we live in a day and age with medicine is, hey, you don't get a prostate exam until you're 40. Oh, you can't do this until you're, we won't know about this biomarker until you're 60. Well, then try to get ahead of it. There's this whole thing of like medicine 2.0, medicine 3.0. We're trying to get ahead of the curve. So what that means is, if you're a woman, get your mammogram done. If you never had one, get one done. Get into the habit of setting yourself up so that, God forbid, if something comes up, you're not behind the eight ball. You're actually in front of it. And now you can work on your longevity and you can be a lot more functional. And I can tell you, man, in my family, I've seen so many people die of heart attacks, not take care of their cardiovascular issues. And it's sad. I lost a cousin about a year and a half ago, at the age of 43, heart attack, had a 2-month-old. And it breaks your heart. It breaks your heart. And so it's things like these that we just need to be more vocal about. We need to be supporting one another. I think oftentimes people bite their tongue, but I always say, if you really mean well, you're going to stab somebody in the front, not in the back. So tell them. It may not, it may ruffle their feathers for the moment, but realize that you're coming from a place of love and intention, love and empathy, and hopefully that means a lot more to them than you know.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. The physical, the emotional, and especially with men with mental health. I would say after the age of 18, park your ego,
Mhm.
because the rest of the world just doesn't care. I will also tell you that, and Dr. Deep, you know me, is that, I'm 67 years of age. I have been through every phase of what fitness and health and fitness is going to look like. And I constantly tell young people in my profession is that prepare your client to be either a better version of what you see in me, or a carbon copy of it. Eat right, sleep right, manage your stress. Don't show up at the gym and spend 20 minutes on social media while you're trying to do 2 reps or whatever. And unless you're a professional mover, It's great to brag about. You dumbbell pressing or bench pressing X amount, but really everyone just actually says, we don't care. And we
Right.
care less when you talk about how bad your back hurts, your knee hurts, or whatever. And I just want to thank you for being the individual you are. We are in an emotional state across the world that we're in crisis. We are in a state where we don't know our true identity across the world. Our values are confused. We are juggling between humanity and profit, which it shouldn't be a ball that's up in the air in order for bring those conversations into being. If we can get more people to be like Dr. P, not only to create an experience in his professional environment, not only for him to create a better understanding in his entrepreneurial environment with labels, but just be a good human being and be grateful for what you have. The fact that you wake up every single day and the sun rises and sunsets and you get a chance to witness both, appreciate that. Hug your kids and let them know that they're loved and loved for who they are, not who you want them to be. Because I believe that true leadership isn't about being the hero. It's about standing beside someone while they discover their own strength. Healing is your superpower, Dr. P. Service is your leadership. Compassion, brother, you're going to change the direction of the world. I just want to thank you for being on our show today. And before I close, is there anything that you want our listeners to take away from you as a person, you as an entrepreneur, you as a professional, or you as a human being? What would you like them to take away from this interview?
Oh man, I appreciate you having me, Kevin. This is great. Thanks for letting me share this platform. I mean, no, I think you summed that up really well. My motto has always been at the end, all my signatures on my Instagram is be your own superhero. And you kind of alluded, you kind of set me up for this in a very nice way, but that's my takeaway is be your own superhero, and what that means is show up for people that you need to. At Sidekick Smiles, we're their sidekicks. We let kids be the superhero. And you know when you've done it right. I tell people, when you're the superhero, when you don't need the accolades. Like when people have gotten to where they got, you've led them there, but you don't need the accolades. Because at the end of the day, being a superhero means that you have strength, you've gone through it yourself, and now you've just been a platform to help someone else realize that they also have that strength. They have the courage, they have the wisdom, they have all the attributes, and you're the one to help lead them there. And like you said, you checked your ego at the door. Yeah, I think that's it, man. Just be your own superhero, everybody. Just keep crushing life, be blessed. It's the one life we all have to live, guys. This is it. Like, whether you believe in heaven, hell, the afterlife, reincarnation, hey, this is the only one that you're going to at least remember experience, at least this profoundly in this moment. And my favorite analogy is like, it's like if you're standing up and you're peeing, right? You're standing up and you're peeing, where your left foot is the past, your right foot is, is the future, and you're pissing on the present. Don't piss in the present. Don't let it happen. I tell people, enjoy it. Enjoy the present. This is the only thing that you can actually contribute to and actually feel and enjoy. So make a difference at present. But you crushed it, man. I appreciate you, Kevin, so much, and I just can't thank you enough for this opportunity, this sharing this platform with you, and yeah, you're the inspiration as well, my man. I love seeing you at the gym, and thanks for being a beacon of light for everybody that you touch. I know you touch a lot of people.
Well, thank you. I'm going to take that last conversation. I'm going to put it on a T-shirt or someplace so we can all know the direction that we're to follow. I appreciate you more than words can say. One more time, I'm going to ask you, how do we get in touch with you? Your websites, how do we get to your practice and so forth, real quick. The last thing, I'm going to interrupt
Yep.
you. Why don't you have a book?
You know what? People have asked me that, and you know what? This might be the stimuli for me to maybe get those wheels in action.
Well, I'm going to
I
tell you,
appreciate that.
you need to write a book. And the reason why is because as much as they are trying to ban books with purpose and cause that are authentic with this stories, you need to have your book out there. I learned this from an 8-year-old eighth grader that was at a spoken word contest. When he talked about the school had taken out the books from their library that represented him, his history, and whatever, he said they made one fatal flaw. He says, they cannot stop me for finding the books and bringing it into the school for me to read.
Yeah, that's so
They can
true.
take it out, but he can find it. All
Exactly.
right. So I want everyone to find Dr. Deep. Go to his website. Start to wear his labels. Like I said, you need hats for adults. All right.
Yeah,
Because the first conversation we had, be a positive or negative, our kids learn from us. And if we learn to devalue and respect the labels and accept people for who they show up as. And I've got a similar story with my children and their eyes, because my little one had my father's eyes. They were blue, and as a black man with blue-green eyes, you know what everyone said. And I remember his brother asking Dad, what's wrong with my eyes? And it broke my heart. I says, actually, nothing wrong with the eyes. I said, the nice thing about it is that you see the world the way that you see it, not how the world sees you.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So with that said, I want to thank my listening audience for tuning in to this episode of Talking Wit, WIT, Kevin and Son. If you like what you've heard, want to subscribe, follow, make comments, go to our YouTube page at RMK Productions and Network. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show or know someone that has a story to be told, like Dr. Deep, go to info at RMK Productions with an S.org. Dr. Deep, my friend, my brother from another mother, a humanitarian, a father, a stellar husband. I want to thank your wife for keeping the candle burning.
Yeah.
I want to thank your children for allowing us to have that time, because I know they're waiting with bated breath to go skiing. And I want to thank all my listeners. And remember this, if you remember nothing else, my grandfather always said, and this man is an example of this conversation. This is the reason why you surround yourself with people that are carrying the torch, not just making an impression on you, but they're lighting the way for others to follow. My grandfather always said, when you get to a point in life that you can help someone else out, he said it's your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one. And with that said, Dr. P, we're out and we'll fade to black. Thank you, sir. Until next time.
Yeah. It's the rhythm of life and a beat goes on. Yeah.